We are here at Fort Laramie, which is seems to be pretty desolate and kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it is very pretty. So we've just parked in the parking lot, which you just saw. We're headed, first stop is the Visitor Center and Museum, which I believe is this building over here. Give you a look around. I know there's people here because there's cars here. Okay. Okay, it's Pony Express Monument. Fort Laramie on the National Register of Historic Places. Fort Laramie, a military post on the Oregon Trail, June 16th, 1849 to March 2nd, 1890. We've just left the visitor center and we're headed to the non-commissioned officer barracks.
Yeah, sorry, enlisted barracks and non-commissioned officers quarters are like right next to each other.
Okay, so that would be this building right up here. Staying by. This appears to be a communal dining area, possibly the kitchen there on the other end. We'll take it on upstairs. You see, it's the cavalry barracks. So a plaque outside said that this was set up with 2 large rooms that would sleep approximately 2 companies of cavalry. I'm not sure if I said it was 60 each or a total of 60.
This is close quarters.
Everybody's sleeping pretty close to their neighbors. So now we've got a chance to see the size of the building. That previous room we were in was definitely one of 2 large rooms. Also, the lower first floor here was basically kitchen, storerooms, NCO or non-commissioned officer rooms, and other sorts of things of that nature. So it's the only surviving enlisted quarters here at the fort. Really get an idea of just how isolated these buildings are and just how much space there is out here. So we're headed to some of these main buildings up here. Rolling into the post office. It's a running joke of ours that our town of 70,000 people still does not have a post office. Whereas, granted, it doesn't appear to be operational, but Camp Fort Laramie here with a population of 7 gets its own post office. We have the Sutler store here. But back in those days, much like if you wanted to get any kind of luxury items or non-military issue items, as you bought here at the Sutler store. All right. These are most likely officer residences. We'll find out some more about these. This is referred to as the Lieutenant Colonel's quarters. So that Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Burt and his wife lived in here, in this house, from 1887 to 1888. This was not the commanding officer's house, though. That'll be coming up.
This is really nice.
We have the kitchen.
Yeah, dining room and kitchen out back, which makes sense.
Yep, as was common at the time. To the basement, that door's locked. We can head upstairs, I think. Children's bedrooms. This is the post-surgeon's quarters. There's a hospital on this camp fort. Literally the only hospital for hundreds of miles around. Even though it was officially for the military, it did treat most people in the area. Here we can see the main parade ground. This is a nice tree-lined field. Got your flag and a cannon as required by law, I think. The edge right here, you can see the ruins, the outline of an infantry barracks. This is the continuation of what they called Officers' Row. Right down here, you can see we just came from the Surgeon General's in the birdhouse right here. We're going down to what is called Old Bedlam. It's been one of the last original structures remaining. This is Wyoming's. We're here at Old Bedlam. This is Wyoming's oldest standing building. It was called Old Bedlam because of all the noise and raucous behavior that had come out from when it was occupied by bachelor officers. At various times, the commanding officer of the post would live on the second floor.
You bachelor officers couldn't be trusted.
That's precisely correct. Let's go take a look inside. Here, the second floor appears to be locked up, but we can take a walk through the first. Nice rugs they got there. Blankets. See some of the original stonework here. Or a dining area for the officers. Or hangout area. Over here. Aha! Here's the kitchen. And a nice porch on the back as well. Like the remains of a well down here. But we get an idea just the sparseness of the population out here. Continuing on to the other half. You can see yet another preparation area, the kitchen area. More of the officers' mess area. Stairs inside and out. That's interesting. It appears to be an office. Okay, so we were wrong. There was interior stairs to go up to the second floor of Old Bedlam. The idea this is apparently the commanding officer's area. Here we have the remains of the officers' quarters. These are duplexes made of adobe. This is what's left. These would be the married officers' quarters. So Fort Laramie was originally supposed to be a distant frontier, dusty, dirty post. But as time went on and it became more populated, it became quite the Victorian scene. The sidewalks and bird baths and all kinds of amenities. So here we have a series, this is ruins of more officer quarters as well. This building was originally planned to be the commanding officer's quarters when the fort was first planned, but eventually was turned into some barracks for junior officers. Probably because the actual commanding officers building later on had indoor plumbing. Well, this building did not. This building was the post schoolhouse. So you may have guessed at the time it was quite difficult to get school teachers out here. And school teachers were often soldiers that were assigned to duty as teachers. Some were good, some were bad. Some, when they decided they no longer wanted to be teachers, got drunk and got fired on purpose. One set of teachers were apparently deserters that were punished by becoming teachers. And the students were less impressed when they showed up to teach in heavy iron shackles. As you may look around, you may have noticed that there is no wall of any kind surrounding this camp. That is because at the time, they just didn't need it. The base was large enough, and the Indians fairly pacified or not present in large numbers in the area. And so a wall was never constructed. Also, because logistics, everything's about logistics, it's really hard to get enough wood out here to build that kind of wall of that kind of size. This building right here is the guardhouse. You can see these cells here in the back of the building. It's where they would keep prisoners in disciplinary cases. In the front, up here, is where they would basically post the camp guard. This is where they would be posted to handle the duties of running the post. You can see this is where the quarters were. This is basically you were able to nap here while you were on duty. Also, we can see here one of the major reasons for the location of the post is the river. So you get access to drinking water and all the other things that water's good for. And next we're moving on to what is called the new guardhouse, to apparently replace the old guardhouse that we saw just over there. This is obviously a much larger structure, and only 3 out of every 100 soldiers was actually imprisoned here, which I guess is good. 3% seems high, but here we are. Check inside. Here, so we're in the new guardhouse. A nice view of the excavation underneath it. Also located in here, kept a number of artillery pieces. See their caissons where they carry the ammunition and other supplies there behind them. And then over here on the right, we have a wagon This was pulled by 6 mules, and then this one right here was called the dump cart. This was just used for general post duties and such, and was only pulled by a single mule. This wagon over here was basically the workhorse of the Army. This carried almost all of its daily supplies. And here we have the remains of the post latrine. This is basically where people would poop, and it was then carried away down to the river right there, which in those days was considered out of sight, out of mind.
Terrifying, because of course that was also their source of water in a lot of cases. So,
yes, well, you would draw water from upstream.
yeah, so much better.
Yeah.
So much cleaner.
Yep. I've got cholera. We'll go take a little walk down the river.
Yeah.
This is the location for the post laundry. Usually immigrants and commonly Irish, laundresses often married enlisted men and were a popular distraction, as evidenced by an order issued. Any non-commissioned officer, private soldier, or citizen found loitering along the laundress quarters of this post will be immediately arrested. And at the time, laundresses were often prostitutes. So much so that in the Army at the time, laundress was a synonym for prostitute. Good times. Well, we've just finished our tour around historic Fort Laramie.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think it's a great site. It's got a lot of historical buildings that you can go into, and there's a lot of open space to enjoy as well. It's also a free national park site, so that's an added benefit. And I just think it's a really neat glimpse into what life was like out here on the frontier in the 1880s.
Yeah. I mean, granted, we're both kind of history nerds, so this was right up our alley. We really kind of enjoyed it. Would the average person enjoy it? I don't know.
I think if it was on your way someplace, I wouldn't necessarily make a trip to Fort Laramie, but I think if it's on your way someplace and you have the opportunity, if it's not too far out of your way, you're not going to regret spending an hour or two here.
Is this really right off the beaten path, right off the normal roads?
It's not off the road to anybody. It's not on the way to anywhere.
Yeah. So in sum, your advice is if it's on your way, stop by, but it's not on the way to anything.
True. I didn't say it was good advice.
Okay. All right.
I didn't say it was good advice.
Yeah. So yeah, we had some interesting time with Google getting here. They did send us on about a couple of unpaved roads, and I'm not fully certain if that was the best route.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Google Maps has a setting where you can choose avoid unpaved roads.
We're gonna find out now, though.
But we should look that up.
We're gonna find out right now.
So, but anyway, that's it for Fort Laramie.
Next stop, Custer.
Here we are. All right.